are we going to see Musk holding a fairly large influence over broader tech policy?
Well, from what I'm currently reading, his focus really is to declutter the regulatory requirements, right? He's not looking at the regulatory bits from the point of view of let's impose or remove regulations. He's just trying to find a way to make this whole all the different requirements in the administration less bureaucratic.
Over the last few years, with AI becoming more kind of widely used and accepted, there's been rapid advancements in growing regulatory scrutiny. And whether you like it or not, the re-election of Donald Trump is going to bring significant shifts to this landscape. With the recent push for AI-driven solutions, there's obviously the pressing question of how government oversight will adapt or retreat in this very fast evolving sector. So yeah, I want to dive into what Trump's second term means for tech from a potential regulatory changes perspective affecting the very large giants like Tesla and Google to maybe the more broader implications for AI, crypto, and Silicon Valley's political climate. So, Raj, I mean, like I say, whether you like it or not, Trump is back. And this is going to have an impact on the regulations and the regulatory landscape governing AI and the digital world.
Absolutely. I think this is like a big win for technology. And it doesn't matter, like, really, obviously, I'm not an American, but the impact what the elections have on the world is massive because in the last administration, we didn't really see that kind of support for AI and crypto like we expect from President Trump, and that's very exciting. So let's forget about the political landscape of the U.S., but just to look at the outcome of what we'll see for AI and tech is massive, and so that's very exciting. There will be hopefully more support, or at least that's been promised, more support and more deregulation, and that is indeed what we need to kind of keep ourselves ahead of what might be possible in other parts of the world which are not, the Western friendly, or perhaps helps us to kind of use AI or technology more.
Yeah, yeah. Now, we're speaking about kind of maybe scaling back on regulation. It is expected that Trump is going to have an emphasis on minimal regulation in sectors like AI and crypto. What potential benefits and risks do you see in the tech industry? I mean, obviously, it's a reduction in oversight. These are very fast-growing areas. We've spoken about it before. Move fast, break stuff, and find where that line is as you're going. But in the sector, there are ramifications. There's market stability, there's public safety, there's all sorts of challenges that could pop up, and not all of them can be foreseen. I mean, there's unintended consequences of these things. So, what do you see the impact being, both positive and negative, maybe on these things?
Well, obviously, yes, there are ramifications of giving a free rein to technology companies who will implement their tech to do different things. And yes, that needs to be to some extent controlled, but equally stifling progress and putting sort of restrictions and unthought of regulations can just stifle the growth of AI overall and technology, and that's not useful for anybody. We need to make sure we harness this in the right hands and to really grow this for other people as well. And already we're seeing the impact of AI. I mean, it's only been 2 years, like we are seeing what changes have happened to the market, and that is major. So I feel like we need to bring in the right sort of regulations if that's required. More importantly, allow tech companies to first start to really look at the growth opportunities and then bring in regulations. That's when it's meaningful. If you haven't harnessed the power completely, what are you going to regulate? What are you going to control? What are you going to change? And that's a big change between what we're seeing with Trump versus Biden, is that we are seeing that there is a talk about more control given to the people who understand technology and allow them to actually change things. And then, when things do get to a level where they need regulations, I'm sure he'll bring it in. But for now, it's time to just go experiment and build stuff and and launch them as and when we feel they are safe for the ecosystem.
Yeah, yeah. Continuing on that thought, now Trump's administration may scale back antitrust actions and remove key figures from regulatory agencies as well. How do you see this affecting competition and innovation overall within tech? And could it be a signal, a potentially worrying signal of a rollback of previous attempts to hold big tech accountable? I mean, we've recently had Mark Zuckerberg. I say recently, but I think it was a couple of years ago already, sitting in front of Congress and whistleblowers and all that kind of big drama. And there was a big call on holding big tech accountable. Are we going to see kind of a reversal of that?
I think innovating or launching new products or services makes these companies less liable to challenges. You're still liable to launch, things in the proper way to make sure they have proper controls in place. At the end of the day, even before, the last administration with Biden, there was regulations being put on to big tech companies, and so they will not be sort of unregulated at all. There will be people and regulations on what they do, but meaningless regulations make no sense whatsoever. Not understanding AI and adding some sort of a rule book put in place without understanding the real technology makes no sense to me at all. So I think that's where things are different. Let's first launch things. Let's go innovate, make the Western world more profitable and more innovative, and then think about regulations. And at the end of the day, no one's going to be less accountable. They're still accountable for their actions. The corporations incorporated in the US and across the world, and so local laws still apply to them. If they do break the laws, they will be punished for it. But doesn't mean that we will stop the growth in AI and technology overall.
Yeah, yeah. Let's shift focus a little bit and speak about Elon Musk, because you can't talk about the Trump administration and tech regulation without bringing Elon Musk into the picture. So his alignment with Trump places him in a very unique position within the new administration, which is kind of interesting because not too long ago he was very vocal about how there were about the dangers of AI being unregulated and that sort of thing. So there's obviously been an about change. How might this relationship affect regulatory decisions, impacting especially his own companies like Tesla and SpaceX? And are we going to see Musk holding a fairly large influence over broader tech policy?
Well, from what I'm currently reading, his focus really is to declutter the regulatory requirements, right? He doesn't care really much about he's not looking at the regulatory bits from the point of view of let's impose or remove regulations. He's just trying to find a way to make this whole all the different requirements in the administration less bureaucratic. I think a lot of the time, especially in other geographies and jurisdictions, time is spent on bureaucracy and red tape, which is not required at all. That's what he's focusing on, to remove that or reduce that. That's an interesting thing, definitely to look at. Number two, he understands, he knows the stuff, right? And that's really helpful, because somebody who understands technology in a deep way like he does allows the government to make better rules and make people more accountable for their actions. I think that's something that's really useful. And finally, he will bring in insights and also his focus on reducing the debt which the US government holds. I think that's very interesting as well, what he's looking to do from that perspective. I know it's not linked to tech exactly, but tech is a big role in helping governments make more money. And so if tech becomes an important part of a government or economy, that's only good for tech overall, because that then places tech as a high priority industry overall. So I'm excited about him being in the government. It's good to see somebody who understands tech so deeply to have a say, as opposed to politicians who don't understand it at all and just make rules because they have to.
Yeah, yeah. Um, kind of zooming back out from Elon, there's obviously a lot of other tech giants like Meta and Google that are likely to adopt a more cooperative stance toward Trump. How might this shift impact how might this shift impact the culture and political diversity within Silicon Valley? Could this lead to a more open political landscape, or is there a risk of stifling like that diversity of political views?
Well, it's a hard one to kind of be able to predict. There will be some tech companies which will be seen more favorable just because of the way it's positioned. But I hope that it doesn't stifle innovation or allow some companies to have a unfair advantage. Obviously, SpaceX, Tesla, Facebook, all these they've openly talked about how they support Trump, for example. Would that be useful? I don't know. I think time shall tell. But either way, just the idea of having a pro-tech government just helps everybody. And the US market is so big that it can actually dictates the way we look at tech around the world. So in many ways, having a pro-tech government helps the entire world building more tech overall, which is only good for AI and crypto.
Yeah, yeah. Awesome. We want to know from the listeners and the viewers, what do you think? This is obviously it's a gray area because, you know, politics. There's always a gray area when it comes to politics. Will these potential changes drive innovation, or will they lead to changes in accountability and oversight? I don't think in this case there are necessarily any wrong answers. So put your comments in the comment section. We'd love to hear your comments and hear your views and your thoughts. And until next time, don't forget to follow or subscribe, share if you found this interesting. And thanks for joining. We'll see you in the next episode.